Welcome to the garden. Today I've got another ice carving project, and I'm going to try and make a bird feeder. So this design here, it has a cylinder with a cup on the bottom, and the cylinder feeds that little cup, and the birds feed out of those like little troughs. So I might try a little something like that, or I might do more holes a little higher up to make a couple different feeding points. But the first thing we need to do is carve out that inner chamber. So I've got a blank of ice here, and I'm just going to start just like we did with our other projects and drill a nice big hole in the middle, and then we're going to widen that with warm water. I'm going to go as deep as I can on this one because I want a big chamber for all that birdseed. And we're out of juice. But I think we got deep enough. I could go like another centimeter, but I don't think that's really necessary. So we're just going to start widening now with our warm water from inside. I always think it's cool that when you fill the chamber with water, it basically disappears. Except for a few cracks, you couldn't even tell it was there. But hopefully we'll be able to get this at least 3/4 of the way down so that we got a nice big chamber for our birdseed. So I've just got some of this birdseed mix with a lot of sunflowers and little grains and some dried fruit. And then we'll put little feeding points and maybe even run a few sticks through. I might drill another hole and run a stick through for support, and maybe another one here. So we've got a few different options, but for now I'm just going to widen this hole until we have a nice big chamber. So the chamber's done, or pretty much. It's got a decent size. It's about the size of a beer bottle maybe. So that should be enough for a couple days of seed, which will be fine. So now I'm just going to carve the cylinder out of this chunk, just whittling down the edges slowly, just to get that cylinder shape. This is going to lighten it up, because at the end we're going to try and hang this in a tree. So it's got to be pretty thin. But this saw makes quick work of this ice. And I'll polish it down at the end, or I might keep these saw marks. Sometimes those look really cool. I want to be careful not to break through into our chamber. So I'm going to make it about 1 centimeter thick on the outside edge, all the way around. These corners are going down first. And then I'll work on fine-tuning a little bit later. And then we'll maybe drill some holes at the bottom to allow the birdseed to come out. At this point, really, you could make anything out of this. You could make a cup, or a vase, anything you can think of. But we're going for a bird feeder. So that's the basic idea. I'm just going to keep whittling everything down to shape it. And then at the bottom, maybe I'll drill a hole this way and then another one that way for our sticks. And then we can figure out how we want to hang it up and start feeding the birds. So I'm carving it down. I actually got a little too ambitious and opened up a hole. But we can use that as one of our feeding points. So I'm just going to be extra careful around this spot. And maybe we can keep this little ledge as a sort of platform for the birds. So I think this is our design then. We're going to keep this bottom edge as our little cup, and then I'll add a couple extra holes. I'll just widen this one up just a touch, just to make it a little more functional. And then at the end I'll make sure to melt everything down smooth. But I'm going to keep this for the birds to land on, so I'll carve a little platform here sloping downwards so that the seed doesn't come piling out too fast. Just like that. And then we'll do another one over here. So I'm just going to cut in at an angle until we breach our chamber. And then I'll do some fine tuning in a bit. But I think this design is going to work just fine. I'm going to try 4, one in each corner, just because that's where that one ended up. That should be good. And then the very last thing I'll do is probably drill a hole or 2 up at the top, just so I can string this up. And I'll be cutting this down just to get rid of some weight. So let's do that. Try and be careful not to widen our holes or anything here. I just want to get bottom 2 inches off or so. So just a few final touches. I have to get more holes down at the bottom. So I'm going to be carving in, there we go, just enough to get a little birdseed out. I don't want to go too thin or it's not going to be able to support the base. That ought to do it. So 2 more. Just cutting in at an angle to penetrate that cylinder. Okay, that one's a little tricky. So I might get the drill out for that one. There, this one's open. fragile, so I'm being extra careful here. There we go. And now, let's get our last one here. I just don't want to break our supports, so I'm going to drill this one. It should be okay there. And then since we have the drill out, I might as well do our pilot holes for our... Oh man, I'm sticking. Let's see. We just need about 2 holes for our jute to hang. I just want to make sure there's at least a centimeter of ice at the top to hold this up. So I'll just do 2 little holes here at the top. There we go. So that's where I'll hang our jute. And now, just to polish it up, I brought out a little water. So let's see what we've got. So there's 1, 2, 3. Oh, that one still needs a little work. And I'm going to clean up the base a little bit more. But we are almost there. So this is the final product. We've got a nice little square base and 4 little spots for the seed to come out. I think it'll be just enough to where it'll kind of fill up, but it won't pour out completely. And then I've got my holes drilled so I can string it up. So let's just get ourselves some jute. I'm going to see if I can string this up in a tree. Easy. Very simple. So I'm actually going to go around, I think, maybe a couple times, just in case the jute breaks once. We'll have a little backup. This was really easy to make. It's going to hang just like this. So let's give it a shot. Okay, sort of works. There's not much room for the birds to land. I probably should have kept the base a little bigger. But I think it looks really cool. Turned out really nice. But thanks for coming along for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this ice bird feeder carving, and I will see you next time.